Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sprint 210 review. This is a normal 2-week sprint, but it had Easter in the middle, I believe. Let's get started. I'll start with the overview, Melody on the UI, Adam on providers, Joe on the platform, and that should say Keenan on the API. As you can see, this was a typical sprint with 65 PRs merged this sprint. And the breakdown is more in the other category, which isn't being represented here. I'll have to take a look at that. And over to Melody.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So for this sprint, we had a total of 18 PRs merged between our UI Classic and service repos. And so let's just jump right into it. So for this PR, I converted the host edit page from Angular to React. Amal converted the diagnostic zone list from HAML to React as well. They also converted the RBAC group summary page from HAML to React. The AutoSDE team split the volume create capabilities fields into separate single select fields. And the same was done for the service create form. Here, the AutoSDE team fixed the bug where the storage manager events were not linking to correct pages. Akil fixed a bug where the request dialog form page was throwing an error and not showing. David exported some strings so that they could be properly translated. Here, Jeffrey fixed a bug where the customized tabs were not displaying properly. Dinesh fixed an error where we were getting during our Webpack compile after our upgrade to Node 18. Adam changed the embedded automation manager call to be more specific since we now have 2 embedded automation managers. And as previously mentioned, we've upgraded to Node from 14 to 18. So for UI Classic, Jeffrey pushed up the main upgrade and Jason got us to Yarn 3.5 within the UI Classic repository. The same upgrades were applied to the UI service category repository, but that one had some additional follow-up changes and additional legacy provider flag needed to be added to node options, and the CI YAML file needed to be converted to use Node 18. And additionally, there was an upgrade to Node SAS to resolve many CVEs. And that's all for the UI side. On to Adam.
Thanks, Melody. For Amazon this sprint, we added some new instance types for the DB-M7G type instance. So those will be available to be selected for new provisioned instances on Amazon. For AutoSDE, they added a try decrypt for passwords when they were creating physical storages, as this was going over the queue. Wasn't being logged, but it was visible over the queue, if you could see that. And so they're using encryption for passwords going over the queue now, as they should have been. For Power VC, they added documentation on how to enable metrics data collection for the Power VC provider. This was something which isn't enabled by default and is kind of confusing when you go to look at metrics for Power VC. Even if you have everything done properly on the ManageIQ side, no metrics are being returned. The root cause is that you have to turn it on for the underlying provider, and so they documented how to do that. Next slide. For OpenStack, we fixed a refresh failure if a snapshot is missing a VMware template ID. On OpenStack and Power VC, the snapshot UID is globally unique, and so we didn't have to have a VMware template ID in order to be able to represent the snapshot. So we switched that up for OpenStack type providers so that they can have essentially detached snapshots. This is what happens if you snapshot a VM and then delete the VM. The snapshot stays around in OpenStack and you can still use it to create cloud volumes and instances from it. And so we're just continuing to support that case there. Keenan fixed an issue where the infra manager wasn't actually verifying the OpenStack Ironic service was set up properly, which is what we use to connect for the infra manager. It was just checking the standard cloud credentials. So he fixed that up, as well as removing an unnecessary verify credentials override method and an unused validate credentials task method. Essentially, the validate credentials task, which was used before all the DDF changes, was the only one that was doing the verify correctly for the info manager. And so that was where we kind of found that was going through all that work, which is nice as cleanup shakes out some other bugs that we found. So that was nice. Next slide. And over to Joe.
Okay, for ManageIQ platform enhancements, like the UI repository, Jeffrey also upgraded Node from 14 to 18 in several core repos. To go with the Node 18 upgrade, Jason upgraded Yarn to 3.5 in the plugin generator. Brandon ensured the latest Samba package get installed and modified. Adam normalized the common worker options needed to start non-Rails provider workers. Adam also changed the collect all logs to collect logs from servers in parallel. As Adam previously mentioned, O4 ensured the storage passwords are encrypted in tasks. Nassar added logic to populate the Kafka SSL options from the environment if it's configured. Nassar also refactored the worker management code, so non-Rails workers can decide to how to react to changes to settings. Keenan added some better code documentation around dependency strategy rules. Adam extracted the logic for the syncing of active roles out of the worker management module and into the more appropriate role management module. Adam also refactored the resource action deliver to eliminate the dependency on the automate workspace that will enable using non-automate resource actions. And as Adam mentioned in OpenStack, there was this validate credentials task method that's no longer needed, so Keenan gets the deletion of the week. Next slide. For ManageIQ platform bugs, Keenan fixed an issue where columns can be incorrect in some chargeback reports. And that's it for the platform.
All right. And on the API side, Tony implemented the Cloud Snapshot Collector, list page, create, and delete. And that's it for the API, and that's it for the Sprint 210 review. Our next review, Sprint 211, will be on May 3rd at the usual place and time. And I'd like to thank all our presenters today, thank everyone in the community, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.